We want to introduce to you a therapist that we are interviewing today who's been in the business about 12 years with Arizona Family Therapy Group, Mr. Garron Griffitts. He specializes in addiction and trauma, adolescents, relationships. He's a wonderful therapist, and we want to pick his brain on some of these topics. All right, so let's talk about, first of all, about anxiety. Talk to us a little bit about what is anxiety, how, and if you could add, how is it affecting teenagers right now? The amount of content hitting the brain through the screen, right, in these adolescents or in these young kids is in essence, it's overwhelming, to use your word, right? And so I want to check out, I want to numb out. And what do kids do when they want to numb out or check out?
They look at more screens.
They go get on the screen. So it's kind of this this self-feeding animal, right? What kind of advice, what kind of strategies would you give a parent, let's say, whose kid is kind of self-medicating with the poison, in essence, you know?
Well, I think the first thing I talk to my parents about is watch themselves, because it's not just our teens that are spending too much time. Their parents are spending too much time. We as adults, as a whole, are, I would say, just as addicted to our screens as our youth are.
Absolutely.
I don't think we can point this as an adolescent problem. And so, first and foremost, as adults, as parents, we have to put down our screens. And we have to lead by example, to say there's more things to do in our day, in our evening, than be looking at our screen, whether it's playing a game, whether it's our social media, whether it's news, whether it's whatever our excuse to be on our phone is. I think we have to model putting down our phone and doing other activities, whether it's physical, reading, mental stuff like that. We're spending time together as a family. That's a novel idea. But first and foremost, number one, that. Number two is providing opportunities for kids to do something different. Whether, again, that's extracurricular activities. I had a parent just, again, put their kid in, or have their kid try a martial art or a gymnastics class. Had another parent put their young children back into swimming and dance, because even they found their 5-year-old was spending too much time on this. And so I think providing opportunities or encouraging them to get out and just actually set clear boundaries and limits. But unfortunately, I think parents are struggling with saying no, put down your phone. You can't, or turn it in at X number time in the evening. So I'll have parents have their kids turn in the phone at a given time, so they don't have it all night long, because then that plays into sleep deprivation, physical activity, getting outdoors, getting connected with nature, all of that.
One of the great disadvantages I would assume adolescents have when it comes to putting down their phone compared to adults is the adolescent brain is still developing. Right? I mean, it's got the pleasure centers already wired, but this prefrontal cortex, this discerning, decision-making part of the brain, for females isn't really developed till early 20s, and for males it's early 30s. So as an adult, putting my phone down, I've got more hardware, so to speak, that kind of helps me make that movement. But with adolescents, and you correct me if I'm wrong, they do need parents who have fully developed brains to not only set that model, but then to set the parameters for the kid and not assume that the kid will go and set those parameters for themselves.
Yeah, no, one analogy in a great book called Why Do They Act That Way? He explains the adolescent brain gets going and is charged like, he gives the analogy of the engine of a Ferrari or a race car. but they have the braking system of a Model T. And he encourages us parents and leaders of youth to be the braking system.
Yeah.
We have to be that guiding force. And yeah, our brains may be developed where we can handle being on this more. But again, as a parent, go back to the modeling thing, kids don't see it that way.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge that we have, or the biggest thing that adolescents struggle with, is hypocrisy. So they'll be the first to point it out. If we're teaching one thing but not doing it, they'll call us on it.
They've got a case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so whether we can or can't, I think it's still good for us to be as device-free as possible as well.